Hello, welcome to the second video for module GM4, and in this one we're going to look at the area and perimeter questions. Now my advice would be to do the first 6. You might need a calculator for a couple, so do the first 6, check the answers and then have a go at number 7 and 8. So over to you. There's the first question. Press pause. When you've done the first 6, press play to check the answers. Okay, so how'd you get on? So we got a rectangle here, and they want the area. Well, we know the area, the long side times the short side. 8 times 5 is 40. Notice it says giving the units of your answer. So we're going to put centimetres squared. Calculate the perimeter. Well, we know that 8 is the long one, 5 is the short one. So that one up there is 8. That one over there is 5. So the perimeter is 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5, which is 26. And the units are centimetres. Notice they don't ask for the units in this case, and there's only one mark for this answer. Now we could have just said actually the perimeter is 2 times 8 add 5, and 8 and 5 is 13, double that, 26. Not too bad. Let's have a look at number 2. Same question really, just a different way around. Calculate the perimeter. Well, we know that one's 11, that one's 5. So the perimeter is 11 plus 5 plus 11 plus 5, which is 32 centimetres. Or we could have done 2 bracket 11 plus 5. And that's 32. Calculate the area. Well, the long side is 11, the short side is 5. 11 times 5 is 55, and the units, centimetres squared. Good. So area of a rectangle, quite straightforward. Let's have a look at the area of a triangle. So we've got this one, it's sort of turned in a funny way to try and confuse us. So we know the formula, half the base times the height. And it's worth writing that, we don't get a mark, but it will help us put in the numbers. Well, the base is 6 and the height is 8. Remember the slopey side there, the hypotenuse, is 10, and that's not the base, that's not the height. Okay, so we've got half times 6 times 8, half of 6 is 3, 3/8, 24 centimetres squared. Now we could have just turned this triangle round that way if we wanted to, and this time the base would be 8 and the height would be 6, but we get the same area. Half times base times height, half times 8 is 4, 4 6s, 24. Excellent. Let's have a look at number 4, another triangle one, and this time they've not put any extra sides in to try and confuse us. It's just straight half times 8.6 times 4.1. And that would be on a calculator paper. They wouldn't expect you to do that without a calculator. And the answer should be 17.63 centimetres squared. Excellent. Let's have a look at the parallelogram. Now we know they're trying to confuse us here. We know the area of the parallelogram is the base times the height. Which one's the height? Is it 6.7 or 4.5? It's 4.5. Okay, it's not the slope in 6.7, it's the vertical 4.5. So there we go. Multiply those out and we get 55.8 centimetres squared. And what about the next one? We tried to confuse you here by having the same number at 4.5, but 4.5 in this case is the slope inside. The height is 3.2, and they try to confuse us by putting the base up the top. So the area of this one, 12.6 times 3.2. And again, that would be calculator paper, 40.32 centimetres squared. Excellent, so we've done some straightforward questions. Now the problem is that recently the area questions have been a bit more puzzly. We've had to sort of work something out a little bit backwards and use that in the next bit. So what I would do now is have a go at questions 7 and 8, press pause, and when you want to check the answers, press play. And here is the start of question 7. Okay, so how did you get on? So I think one of the things here, they try and confuse us, and it's not too bad. We've got a rectangle, we can see, and we've got a triangle. And it says that a right angle triangle, BCD, is joined to a rectangle. And they tell us the area of the rectangle, and they want us to get the area of the triangle. You must show your working. And this was from a paper a few years ago. So let's have a look. Let's shift that over there. Now the first bit of information they give us is the area of the rectangle is 45. So that means that pink one there is 45. We know the area of a rectangle, it's the long side times the short side. We've got 9. So 9 times BD, so that's the short one, is 45. Now you might straight away spot what BD is, but in this solution I'm showing you how to use a sort of equation solving techniques. So the 9 is multiplying, going to go to the other side and divide. BD is 45 divided by 9, which is 5. You may have noticed that straight away. But notice in the question it says you must show your working. So we do try to show a bit of working. So now we've got that is 5. And the thing we mustn't lose sight of is what's the question asking. And it wants us to get the area of the right angle triangle. So we need half the base times the height. So we've got the height of the triangle. So we need that distance now from D to C. So what have we got then? Well, DE is the same as AB, which is 9. So that means that distance there is 9. So the one right the way across the top is 15. From E to D is 9. So that means CD, or you could call it DC, must be 15, take away 9, which is 6 centimetres. Nice and straightforward now. We've got everything we need for our triangle. There it is. The base is 6, the height is 5, and notice it's not to scale because the 6 is actually shorter in the diagram than 5, and they do introduce that quite a bit to try and confuse us, but they always say it's not to scale. So where were we? Half times 6 times 5. Half of 6 is 3. 3 times 5, 15 centimetres squared. And there we go. Okay. So number 8 was perhaps a little bit trickier and is a bit more information, looks a bit more confusing. So it says in the diagram below, ABCD is a rectangle and PQ is parallel to AD. So that tells us then we've got 2 rectangles. The area of ABCD is 52 square centimetres, that's the big one, and APQD, the little one on the left, is 20. Calculate the values of F and G. Right, let's shift that out the way a bit, and let's have a look what they're telling us. Well, they're telling us that this big one here is 52 square centimetres, and that little one there, which I've coloured kind of bluey purple, is 20 square centimetres. Now we're trying to find F. So actually, if we worked out that pink shape area, we could work out F. So let's take 20 from 52. So we're taking the sort of bluey purple from what was the big pink. So that tells us that PBCQ has an area of 32 square centimetres. That one there. And we know the area of a rectangle, the long length, times the short length, so that means 8 times F is 32. You might straight away spot that F is 4, but if not, we can do some equation solving. 8 is multiplying, take it to the other side, it divides. F is 4 centimetres. So we've worked out F, so let's put 4 centimetres in there. Now what are they telling us? The area of APQD, which is that blue one, is 20. And we know that if BC is 4 centimetres, then PQ is 4 centimetres as well. So that blue area is 4 times G, which equals 20. So you might spot straight away that G is 5, or you might do that bit of equation solving. And there it is. G is 5 centimetres. That's that solved. So there's quite a few marks there, but in an exam that can be a bit tricky. Now there's another way we could have done that second part. Let's have a little look at that. So the first part, we worked out that F is 4. Let's have a look at a different way for finding out G. We could have said, well, that big area there is 52 square centimetres, and so that is 4, which is the short side, F, times that long one up there, which we're going to call CD. 4 times CD is 52, so CD is 52 divided by 4, which is 13. So if that's 13 all the way along, and C to Q is 8, G must be 13 minus 8. 13 minus 8, same answer as before, 5 centimetres. So there we go. That's the area done for rectangles, triangles, and parallelograms. In your next lesson, you'll be looking at more complicated areas of things like trapezium and moving on to volume. So that's it for this one, and it's bye for now.